I admire your luck, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 epic voices in film.
Tear this ship apart until you found those plans and bring me the passengers. I want them alive!
For this list, we're looking at the most recognizable, career-defining, and titanic voices to emerge from the film industry. Is there a specific set of vocal cords you think we left out? Exercise your voice and leave a comment below with who you think we should have included. Number 10. Christopher Walken.
If it had been me who'd not made it, Major Coolidge, you'd be talking right now to my son, Jim. But the way it turned out, I'm talking to you.
There's hardly a more distinct noise than a Christopher Walken monologue. His odd, spellbinding cadence and thick Queen's intonation string sentences together like no other.
Two little mice fell in a bucket of cream. The first mouse quickly gave up and drowned. The second mouse wouldn't quit.
Once, Walken explained the origins of his speaking style as deeply influenced by the broken English of his immigrant parents. He said they often employed randomly timed pauses to search their vocabularies for the right word. So, when Walken decided to step into acting, his vocal idiosyncrasies set him apart.
Can I confess something? I tell you this because, as an artist, I think you'll understand.
From one of his breakout roles in Annie Hall to his Oscar-clinching performance in The Deer Hunter, Walken's delivery is stiff, calm, offbeat, and without parallel.
Go on now. I like the trees, you know? I like the way the trees are in the mountains, all different. The way the trees are.
Number 9. Whoopi Goldberg.
Until you do right by me, everything you think about is gonna crumble.
While she's now recognized primarily as the outspoken and, at times, controversial co-host of The View, Whoopi Goldberg began her career on Broadway in performing stand-up. Her name and style are iconic enough in their own right, but Whoopi's voice remains an inseparable element of her persona.
Molly, you in danger, girl.
Expressive, unique, and energetic, Whoopi's tone imbues her characters with a sense of command and trustworthiness. Whether it's portraying a disingenuous psychic in her Oscar-winning performance in Ghost, or a choir-directing nun in disguise in her iconic casting as Dolores in the Sister Act series.
Your voice has to carry over the din. You have to get up over all of that to be heard in the back of the room, where I'm sitting, listening, straining to hear you.
Number 8. Jeremy Irons. If ever a voice box was made to deliver lines dripping with Shakespearean melodrama, it's that of Jeremy Irons.
Well, before you assume I'm guilty, weren't you hear my story?
No. Never let defendants explain. Puts most of them in an awkward position.
How do you mean?
Lying.
Irons began acting in London, where his voice was quickly put to work on the stage. However, while Irons became known for his beautiful Shakespearean acting, his notoriety ballooned into global recognition with his voiceover of Scar in Disney's blockbuster The Lion King.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
His lulling baritone voice can be described as the epitome of villainy and sophistication. So, throughout his film career, Irons has been perfect for characters who spend the bulk of their screen time scheming and belittling inferiors.
They put you on hold.
She told me to stay on the line.
Oh, God, I love this country.
Number 7. Eartha Kitt.
Listen to Madame Zeroni. You should go to America. That's where my son is. That's your future.
Sultry and in a category all by itself, the voice of Eartha Kitt was as distinctive as it gets. Kitt's resume spanned theater, music, and television, but her film performances truly highlight her vocal singularity.
When the poisons of the evil courses through the portals and channels of your body, you will lie a quivering, toxic mass of screaming flesh. They will have to load you and the rest of this backward town on a meat wagon with a pitchfork!
Unfortunately, her career was complicated and reportedly deliberately suppressed due to her outspoken opposition to the Vietnam War. Still, she received revitalized popularity with her role in The Emperor's New Groove, voicing Yzma, the endearingly wicked antagonist hell-bent on slaying a llama blocking her path to the throne.
A llama? He's supposed to be dead!
Kit's voice provided Yzma with dastardly charm, canonizing her as one of Disney's most memorable villains. Number 6. Sir Sean Connery. James Earl Jones once claimed,
Sean Connery is the voice for a man of the ages.
And here at WatchMojo, it's policy not to argue with Darth Vader, especially regarding the greatest voices in film.
I'm gonna count to 3. Well, what's the matter? Can't you talk with a gun in your mouth?
The thundering Scottish accent defines Connery's lengthy career. Over time, his voice has been endlessly impersonated but never replicated. There's no other way to put it. Sean Connery's voice is in a league of its own.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Of course, his most famous role is that of the original 007, but Connery's range was limitless. No matter the character, whether a suave intelligence officer, Franciscan friar, or the last living dragon, Connery's legendary voice provided unyielding gusto to every performance.
You have a beautiful voice.
Oh, thank you. We dragons love to sing when we're happy.
Number 5. Vincent Price.
Somewhere in the human mind, my dear Francesca, is the key to our existence. My ancestors tried to find it. To open the door that separates us from our Creator.
If the horror genre could speak, its voice would probably sound a lot like Vincent Price, smoother than polished marble, and as ominous as a full blood moon. Of course, this destined him for the movies, as his voice made him a casting director's dream to play foreboding gothic figures.
Once in his lifetime, every artist feels the hand of God and creates something that comes alive.
Although his career crossed into radio and television, his long tour in the horror genre kicked off with House of Wax, where he played a homicidal sculptor. And while this list focuses on film legacies, it's impossible to overlook his eternally eerie monologue in Michael Jackson's hit song Thriller, which may be Price's most recognizable lines from his exhaustive list of legendary performances. Number 4. Greta Garbo. Melancholy is a difficult emotion to vocalize, but Greta Garbo managed to make a wildly successful career out of it. Her first vocal performance came in 1930 after building a massive following from silent films.
I'll try anything once.
Garbo's voice acting was instantly successful, receiving Oscar nominations for her first 2 speaking roles.
We never hear of him in my country, you know.
In your country? Why, where do you live?
I have a house in Florence and a villa on the Riviera.
She excelled at bringing troubled, complex characters to life by leveraging her sunken, velvet-like pitch to add dimension to the pain, heartache, and frustration her characters faced. Her voice continues ringing soft and low through the ages, as Garbo is widely remembered as one of the most prominent stars of Hollywood's transition to talkie films.
I think she said, I've never been so tired in my life.
Number 3. James Stewart. It's time to give the nod to the film industry's gentlest giant.
Liberty is too precious a thing to be buried in books, Miss Saunders. Men should hold it up in front of them every single day of their lives and say, I'm free to think and to speak. My ancestors couldn't, I can.
Jimmy Stewart's historic career began in the mid-30s and stretched all the way into the early 90s. Throughout every role, Stewart's soft-spoken drawl was at the core of his persona.
I'll give you the moon, Mary.
I'll take it. Then what?
Well, then you could swallow it, and it'd all dissolve, see? And the moonbeams would shoot out of your fingers and your toes and the ends of your hair. Am I talking too much?
Although Stewart masterfully portrayed complicated characters dealing with severe moral dilemmas, Stewart's tender and earnest voice endowed each role with genuine concern and lovability.
Now, that place right here where it says, under the law of this territory, you read it out loud. I got liberty valance just exactly where I want it.
whether playing a frontier lawyer for John Ford or a troubled lead in one of Hitchcock's film noirs. Stewart's docile hems and haws stole the hearts of audiences for over half a century.
Well, I think that explains it. Anyone could become obsessed with the past with a background like that.
Number 2. James Earl Jones. When comparing voice acting resumes, James Earl Jones has one that's as impressive as any actor in history.
Bomb door circuits, negative function.
Like many of this list's figures, his work began in the theater, eventually transitioning to film with his debut in Stanley Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove. But of course, his universally recognized role is that of Darth Vader in the original Star Wars trilogy, where he commanded his bottomless voice to log some of cinema's most memorable quotes.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No. I am your father.
Jones's imposing and distinguished vocals became the hallmark of his career. And throughout his work of over 6 decades, he's consistently delivered many of the most mesmerizing voice performances ever recorded with a studio mic.
A king's time as ruler rises and falls like the sun. One day, Simba, the sun will set on my time here and will rise with you as the new king.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are some honorable mentions. Gilbert Gottfried, the undisputed master of squawk.
He's cracked. He's gone nuts. Jafar! Jafar! Get a grip! Good grip.
Andy Serkis, the voice behind Gollum and many other legendary CGI characters.
They stole it from us. Sneaky little Orbitsies. Wicked, tricksy, fierce.
Bette Davis, an actress who commanded the screen with her voice just as much as she did with her eyes.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Patrick Warburton. With deep and dunce-like vocals, Warburton became the gold standard for the role of clueless henchman.
Oh, right. The poison for Cusco. The poison chosen specially to kill Cusco. Cusco's poison. That poison?
Yes, that poison.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Morgan Freeman.
Who are you?
I'm the one. Creator of the heavens and the earth, Alpha and Omega.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Bruce, I'm God.
Very few could convincingly replicate the voice of God, but it had to be one of us, and we should all be happy the lot fell on Morgan Freeman.
You must listen. What I'm about to tell you will change the course of history.
Freeman's confident, warm, and cavernous voice is almost synonymous with the act of narration itself. And his long stint in the film industry has cemented his legacy as perhaps the most recognizable voice of all time.
I want to try to talk some sense to him. Tell him the way things are. But I can't. That kid's long gone, and this old man is all that's left.
Freeman's career is prestigious, awarded, and praised by moviegoers of all stripes and tastes. However, although Freeman is an immensely talented actor, director, and artist, his voice remains his defining characteristic. And he uses his breathtaking narration to elevate many of our most beloved films and documentaries to this day.
And they will march, just as they have done for centuries, ever since the Emperor Penguin decided to stay, to live and love in the harshest place on earth.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.